So today we are jumping into the playbook from Tony Robbins' book, Unshakeable. What's our mission? It's to really tear down the fears that keep us from building wealth and swap them out with a simple, powerful mindset that can lead to real financial freedom. Okay, let's get into it.
This is the question that's on everybody's mind, isn't it? I mean, think about it. Salaries aren't really going anywhere, new technology is making jobs feel, well, a little uncertain, and there's just this general vibe of instability. So the idea of taking your hard-earned cash and throwing it into the stock market, yeah, it can feel a lot less like a smart investment and a whole lot more like a trip to Vegas. But what if that's just completely the wrong way to look at it?
Right, let's start right there with that fear, because it's real, it's totally valid, and honestly, it's probably the biggest thing standing between you and a secure financial future. This isn't something you're just making up in your head. It's a gut reaction to the world we see all around us.
And look, these anxieties are based in reality. We've seen middle-class paychecks barely budge for what feels like forever. We're all kind of wondering if our jobs are going to be around in the next decade. So it's really no surprise that something like 60% of millennials just don't trust the financial markets. And what do? They keep their savings sitting in cash, earning basically nothing, all because of that one huge fear, a market crash.
Okay, so let's just face that fear head on. Let's talk about those market crashes, or as we're going to call them, financial winter. Because here's the secret. The game isn't about trying to avoid winter. You can't. It's about learning how to survive it and, believe it or not, even thrive when it shows up.
So first things first, what even is a bear market? It's just a term for when the market drops by 20% or more. That's it. It's not the apocalypse, it's just the financial version of winter. Yeah, it gets cold, things slow down for a bit, but it's a totally natural part of the cycle.
So how often does this so-called winter actually roll around? Well, between 1900 and 2015, the market went through 34 of them. 34 separate times when things looked totally grim, when the news was screaming panic, and when pretty much everyone felt that deep urge to just sell it all.
And here it is. This is maybe the most important fact you will ever hear about investing. Every single one of those 34 winters came to an end. 100% of them. No matter how brutal it seemed at the time, spring always came back. And that right there is the most powerful piece of history any long-term investor needs to know.
And we have plenty of data to help us just breathe through the storm. First off, smaller dips, which are called corrections, happen about once a year. They're as regular as the seasons. And trying to predict them, just forget about it. Even the so-called experts like Dr. Doom, who got famous for calling the 2008 crash, were wrong for years before they were right that one time. Just remember, over the long haul, the market goes up. Why? Because of human innovation, productivity, and growth. And here's the best part. In the 12 months after a bear market ends, the average return has been a stunning 39%. The bull always comes roaring back.
All right, so we've learned not to be terrified of the market itself. But there are other dangers out there, ones that are hiding in plain sight. These are the hidden traps, the silent wealth killers that can actually do way more damage to you than any market crash ever could. So let's shine a light on them.
Let me tell you a quick story about two friends, Sven and Anders. Now, they both start out with the exact same amount of money, 20 grand, at the same age, and they even get the same 10% average return on their investments. The only difference is the fees they pay. Sven, he's smart. He goes for low-cost funds that charge him 0.5%. Anders goes for a fund with a 3% fee. I mean, 2.5%. How much difference can that really make, right? Well, let's see.
By the time they're both 55, Sven's account is sitting at a very nice $480,000. That tiny little 0.5% fee let his money just work its magic over 35 years. He did great for himself. But Anders? Oh man, his account is worth less than half of Sven's. Just $210,000. That seemingly tiny 2.5% difference in fees, it literally vaporized more than $250,000 of his money. Fees are like termites, you guys, just silently eating away at the foundation of your future.
So who's pushing these high-fee products? Well, a lot of the time, it's the very people we think are supposed to be helping us. Just look at this breakdown. A mind-blowing 90% of financial advisors are actually just brokers. They're salespeople who are legally required to do what's best for their company, not what's best for you. Another 8% can switch hats whenever it's convenient for them. That leaves this tiny little 2% slice of people who are legally required to act in your best interest. The takeaway here is pretty stark. You have to be incredibly careful about who you trust.
Okay, enough with the problems. Let's talk about the solution.
The greatest investors on the planet, they don't have a magic crystal ball. What they do have is a set of simple, powerful guiding principles, a framework that keeps them on the right path no matter what. Let's call them the Core Four.
And we're going to start with the master himself, Warren Buffett. This isn't about playing scared. It's about simple, brutal math. The absolute best investors are obsessed with not losing money because they know just how hard it is to climb out of a deep hole.
So this brings us to the playbook itself. Let's break down these 4 principles. Okay, number 1, don't lose. That's it. That's the foundation. Just remember, if your portfolio drops 50%, you need a 100% gain just to get back to even. Defense wins championships in this game. 2, look for asymmetric risk and reward. What does that mean? It means you're hunting for investments where the potential upside is huge and the potential downside is small and known. You want to bet a little to win a lot. 3, be tax efficient. It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. Seriously, keeping your tax bill low is a massive and often ignored part of building wealth. And finally, number 4, diversify. It's the oldest rule in the book for a reason. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread your money across different kinds of assets, in different markets, different countries, and even over different periods of time.
Now here's the tricky part. You could do absolutely everything right. Find the cheapest funds, follow the Core 4 to the letter, and you could still fail. How? Because there is one last opponent you have to beat, and it is by far the most dangerous.
See, this opponent, it knows every single one of your weaknesses. It knows exactly how to make you panic at the absolute worst moment and how to get you greedy when you really ought to be careful.
That's right. It's your own brain. Our brains are hardwired for survival on the savannah, not for success in the stock market. I mean, scientists have found that our brains process a financial loss in the exact same area that lights up when we face a mortal threat. So no wonder we just want to run and hide when the market takes a dive.
And this wiring leads to some really predictable mistakes, these little brain bugs. There's recency bias, which tricks us into thinking that whatever's happening right now is going to happen forever. It's why we buy high. Then there's overconfidence, where we fool ourselves into thinking we can outsmart the entire market. And then there's confirmation bias, which is where we only look for news and opinions that already agree with what we believe. Just knowing that these bugs exist is the first huge step to overcoming them.
So let's pull it all together. Becoming financially unshakable. It's not about finding some magical stock tip or trying to perfectly time the market. It's not about that at all. It's about building a completely new mindset. It's about truly understanding that winter is just a season. It's about dodging those hidden fee traps, sticking to those core principles, and, maybe most importantly, mastering your own psychology.
We've just walked through the entire playbook. You now have the knowledge, you have the tools that can really change you from a fearful saver into a confident long-term investor. So the only question left is the one you see right here. Are you ready?